Welcome to our 5 on 5. Please welcome back Senator Jeff Merkley. Senator, good to see you.
Great to be with you, Chris.
Thanks for taking the time. I know you're in town for the town hall. So I guess let's start with what is your #1 goal right now across the country?
Well, there are really three things that are keeping me up at night. One is the democracy crisis. We have seen in the last November 6 elections tremendous impact of voter suppression tactics, gerrymandering, and voter suppression. The second is investment in the fundamentals for families. And that's healthcare, housing, education, living wage jobs. And the third is the challenge of carbon pollution and climate chaos.
Okay, I'm curious, obviously I want to ask about the Mueller Reports. First time we've seen you here in town since that. It's been about a week and a half. What is your concern about that right now, and is there anything you can do about that?
Well, the Mueller Report still isn't available to the public without the redactions. We're not sure all that's missing. What we do know is there are 10 cases in there of obstruction of justice. The special counsel, Mueller, said he wasn't making a judgment as to whether these rose to the criminal level, but he also wasn't exonerating the president. That really puts it in the hands of the House of Representatives to wrestle with.
Is that something you think the House could vote to impeach?
The House is immersed in the investigation side of it, and they're going to have to wrestle with that fundamental question that's left unanswered by the report. Were those instances of obstruction, along with some of the other pieces, such as misuse of public funds, whether those rise to the level of high crimes and misdemeanors? And I don't know where they're going to come out on that.
New numbers show the economy grew 3.2% in the first quarter of 2019. You tweeted last week, quote, "The economy may be great for billionaires, but have you talked to an actual worker recently?" End quote. Are you suggesting middle-class Americans aren't making those same gains? And do you have any data that points to that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you, if you go with me to the town halls, people are saying, why am I paying more taxes than I paid last year? I thought we were supposed to have tax relief for the middle class, but it ended up helping the best off in our society. And there have been a series of studies showing that companies that had said that they'd be raising pay, instead, they're doing stock buybacks, $1 trillion of stock buybacks last year because of the tax bill. And some of the companies that said we're going to use this money to hire more workers, like AT&T, have actually laid off a lot of workers. So it's not looking pretty from the side of working Americans. We really have to change the economy to help people out.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Much more in just a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back to our 5 on 5. Again, we're here with Senator Jeff Merkley. Senator, last fall you introduced legislation to reduce wildfire risk in Oregon and across the country. You said the U.S. Forest Service would be able to get a better jump on forest management and fuels reduction efforts. Two-part question. Did that bill become law, and should Oregonians, especially Southern Oregonians, feel better approaching this fire season?
It did not become law. It's a Wildfire Resilient Community Act, and it says we need to take a lot of money and put it on the front end to thin our forests, produce jobs in the woods, jobs with the trucks, jobs in the mills, a steady supply of saw logs so the mills know they can modernize, and in the course of it, just really provide a lot more protection to our towns and cities near forests. I'm very concerned we're not doing nearly enough on the front end, but we do have an opportunity this coming year. We are finally in 2020 going to be in the situation where we have a cap on fire spending, so therefore anything over that will go into essentially the equivalent of FEMA, the same way we respond to big hurricanes, big tornadoes, and so forth, which means money will be freed up, about $600 million. Now, who's going to get that? I want to get a lot of that money. I'm hoping we can for, weeding our forests, thinning them on the front end, making them more fire resilient. That's my hope. We have an opportunity. We're going to need help on the House and Senate side to do it.
Will the U.S. Forest Service be more aggressive in tamping down these fires before they come catastrophic?
Well, I tell you, they are caught in between a rock and a hard place because we know that fire gets rid of the fuels on the floor of the forest, and when we wipe out every fire immediately, those fuels build up, and then you have a fire that's totally out of control. So I think what they're looking at doing is doing more of what I'm talking about, fuels reduction in advance. You go in and you basically take out the shrubs, you thin the trees, and then you use prescribed fire after that. That way, you don't have this dilemma of the challenge of having huge, intense forest fires when those fires hit.
You recently reintroduced the Secure and Fair Enforcement, or SAFE, Cannabis Banking Act, allowing financial institutions to work with legal marijuana businesses. Will that get enough Republican support in the House or in the Senate? And even if it does, would President Trump sign it?
We are gaining ground on this as more and more states have recreational cannabis or medicinal cannabis. We're gaining more votes. I have some Republican support for the bill. I've actually done something similar in the Appropriations Committee twice. I've passed it. It's never made it through to the Oval Office, but I think we're going to get close. It's just absurd for people to be carrying around gym bags full of cash. The fact that things don't go through an electronic system, it's an invitation to money laundering, it's an invitation to theft, it's an invitation to cheating on your taxes, every bad thing. So really, regardless of the state of cannabis in your state, you should support having the banking system involved. So we're getting close, but we aren't there yet.
Maybe a matter of time. All right, well, thank you for coming in and giving us your time.
Oh, you're very
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.